Dexter Morgan lived his life carefully concealing the dark truth about his identity as a serial killer from those around him, friends, family, and colleagues alike. However, over the course of the show's 8 seasons, 15 individuals uncovered the reality of Dexter's secret double life. The first person to learn his true nature is, of course, Harry Morgan. Dexter Morgan's relationship with his adoptive father, Harry Morgan, is central to his development and actions throughout the series. Harry, a respected detective in the Miami Metro Police Department, discovered early on that Dexter exhibited sociopathic tendencies, such as killing neighborhood pets. Recognizing that these urges couldn't be suppressed, Harry devised a moral framework known as the Code of Harry. This code directed Dexter to channel his homicidal impulses toward other killers who had evaded justice, thereby allowing Dexter to satisfy his urges while contributing to society's safety. Harry's influence extended beyond the code. He provided Dexter with meticulous training to avoid detection, emphasizing the importance of blending in and maintaining a facade of normalcy. This guidance was instrumental in Dexter's ability to lead a double life as both a forensic analyst and a vigilante serial killer. However, Harry's relationship with Dexter was complex and fraught with moral ambiguity. In the prequel series, Dexter: Original Sin, it's revealed that Harry had an illicit relationship with Laura Moser, Dexter's biological mother, to gather information on drug lords. This connection ultimately led to Laura's brutal murder, an event that profoundly affected Dexter's psyche. Furthermore, Harry's motivations were influenced by personal tragedy. The death of his biological son, Junior, added layers to his character, as he sought redemption and a second chance at fatherhood through Dexter. This loss fueled Harry's determination to protect Dexter and guide him, even if it meant endorsing morally questionable actions. Despite Harry's intentions, the burden of shaping Dexter into a controlled killer took a toll on him. After witnessing Dexter in the act of dismembering a victim, Harry was overwhelmed by the reality of what he had cultivated. This realization led him to take his own life, an event that profoundly impacted Dexter and underscored the tragic complexities of their relationship. Brian Moser, also known as the Ice Truck Killer, is Dexter Morgan's biological older brother. As children, both witnessed their mother's brutal murder, leaving them in a shipping container surrounded by her dismembered body for 2 days. This traumatic event profoundly affected both brothers, but their subsequent paths diverged significantly. After the incident, Harry Morgan, the officer on the scene, adopted Dexter, providing him with a structured environment and a moral code to channel his violent impulses. In contrast, Brian was left in the state's care, spending much of his youth in a mental institution where he developed into a violent psychopath. Upon his release, Brian assumed the alias Rudy Cooper and began a killing spree in Miami, earning the moniker Ice Truck Killer. His murders were meticulously staged to send messages to Dexter, aiming to reconnect and reveal their shared past. To get closer to Dexter, Brian initiated a romantic relationship with Dexter's adoptive sister, Deborah Morgan, under his Rudy Cooper persona. This relationship allowed Brian to infiltrate Dexter's life further. Eventually, Brian kidnapped Deborah, attempting to involve Dexter in killing her to sever his ties with his adoptive family and embrace their shared homicidal nature. Dexter, however, chose to save Deborah, leading to a confrontation where he ultimately killed Brian to protect his sister and adhere to the moral code instilled by Harry. Detective James Dokes, a sergeant in Miami Metro Homicide, is one of the few individuals who perceives the darkness beneath Dexter Morgan's facade. From their initial interactions, Dokes is instinctively distrustful of Dexter, openly expressing his disdain and suspicion. Unlike their colleagues, who are charmed by Dexter's amiable demeanor, Dokes senses something amiss, often confronting Dexter with hostility.
Surprise, motherfucker!
As the series progresses, Dokes becomes increasingly fixated on uncovering Dexter's secrets. He begins to shadow Dexter's movements, convinced that his peculiar behavior masks a sinister truth. This relentless pursuit leads Dokes to discover Dexter's collection of blood slides, a trophy case of his victims, which solidifies his belief that Dexter is the notorious Bay Harbor butcher. In a dramatic turn, Dokes confronts Dexter in a secluded cabin, resulting in his captivity. Despite being imprisoned, Dokes attempts to persuade Dexter to surrender, appealing to any remnants of morality within him. However, the situation takes a fatal twist when Lila Tierney, in a misguided effort to protect Dexter, ignites the cabin, leading to Dokes' death. His demise is subsequently framed as the Bay Harbor butcher's own end, allowing Dexter to evade suspicion. That brings us nicely to Layla West. Becomes a pivotal character in Dexter Morgan's life. Initially serving as his Narcotics Anonymous sponsor, Lila claims to have overcome a meth addiction and works as a sculptor, often incorporating stolen items into her art. Her dark, edgy persona starkly contrasts with Dexter's then-girlfriend, Rita Bennett. As Dexter grapples with his homicidal urges, Lila offers an unconventional perspective, encouraging him to embrace his true nature rather than suppress it. This approach leads Dexter to believe that Lila understands him on a profound level, deepening their bond and resulting in a romantic relationship. However, Lila's fascination with Dexter intensifies into an unhealthy obsession. She becomes increasingly manipulative and controlling, resorting to arson to elicit emotional responses from Dexter. Her pyromaniac tendencies reveal a dangerous side, as she sets fires to manipulate situations to her advantage. Lila's discovery of Dexter's secret life as a serial killer unfolds when she follows him to a secluded cabin, where she finds Sergeant James Dokes imprisoned. Dokes informs her that Dexter is the Bay Harbor butcher. Instead of being horrified, Lila sees this as an affirmation of their connection. To protect Dexter and eliminate Dokes as a threat, she ignites a propane tank in the cabin, causing an explosion that kills Dokes. Realizing the extent of Lila's instability and the threat she poses to those he cares about, Dexter decides to end their relationship. In retaliation, Lila kidnaps Rita's children, Astor and Cody, and traps them in her loft, which she sets on fire. Dexter manages to rescue the children, and Lila flees to Paris. Determined to prevent her from causing further harm, Dexter tracks her down and ultimately kills her, ensuring she can no longer endanger his loved ones. Miguel Prado, a prominent assistant district attorney in Miami, becomes intricately involved with Dexter Morgan following the accidental death of his brother, Oscar Prado, at Dexter's hands. Initially, Miguel is unaware of Dexter's culpability and seeks justice for Oscar's death. As they collaborate on the case, Miguel and Dexter develop a friendship, with Miguel confiding in Dexter and expressing frustration over criminals evading justice. This camaraderie deepens when Miguel discovers Dexter's secret life as a vigilante serial killer. Rather than recoiling, Miguel is intrigued and proposes a partnership, suggesting they work together to eliminate those who escape legal consequences. Dexter, initially hesitant, agrees and introduces Miguel to his code, a set of principles guiding his kills. Under Dexter's tutelage, Miguel commits his first murder, targeting a mob enforcer. However, Miguel's enthusiasm for killing escalates beyond Dexter's control. He independently murders Ellen Wolf, a defense attorney, and his courtroom adversary, violating Dexter's code by targeting someone who doesn't fit their agreed-upon criteria. This act reveals Miguel's manipulative nature and his desire to use their partnership for personal vendettas. Realizing the danger Miguel poses, Dexter decides to end their alliance. The relationship deteriorates into a battle of wits, with Miguel attempting to leverage his position to threaten Dexter's sister, Deborah, and Dexter uncovering Miguel's duplicity. The conflict culminates in Dexter confronting and killing Miguel, making it appear as though the notorious Skinner is responsible. Next up we have Lumen Ann Pierce becomes a significant figure in Dexter Morgan's life. Their relationship begins when Dexter kills Boyd Fowler, a serial killer responsible for Lumen's captivity and torture, and discovers Lumen as his imprisoned victim. Initially, Lumen is fearful and distrustful of Dexter, but she soon realizes he intends her no harm. She confides in Dexter that Fowler was part of a group of men who abducted, raped, and tortured her. As they collaborate on this mission, Dexter and Lumen develop a deep bond, rooted in their shared experiences with trauma and darkness. Lumen becomes the first person with whom Dexter shares his dark passenger, leading to a romantic relationship between them. Together, they systematically identify and kill the members of the group responsible for Lumen's suffering, including their leader, Jordan Chase. After achieving her revenge, Lumen experiences a profound change, feeling that her need to kill has dissipated. She tearfully informs Dexter that she can no longer continue their relationship, as his homicidal urges remain. Understanding her decision, Dexter lets her go, despite his emotional pain. Lumen's departure leaves a lasting impact on Dexter, as she is the only person who has truly understood and accepted his darkest secrets, yet chose to leave upon finding her own peace. Jordan Chase. Publicly, he is a charismatic and influential motivational speaker, renowned for his seminars and self-help teachings. Privately, however, he leads the Barrel Girl Gang, a group responsible for the abduction, rape, and murder of numerous women. Dexter helps Lumen seek vengeance against Chase. However, Chase becomes suspicious of Dexter and captures Lumen by luring her in, using one of his first victims, Emily Birch. Dexter manages to track down Chase, where a confrontation ensues. Dexter manages to subdue Chase, allowing Lumen to confront her abuser. In a moment of retribution, Lumen fatally stabs Chase, bringing an end to his reign of terror. One of the more unusual instances of people learning about Dexter's true nature is Nicholas Galway, a retired priest suffering from advanced dementia, resides in a retirement home. Dexter visits him hoping to get some information about the Doomsday Killer. Due to his dementia, Galway mistakes Dexter for someone from his past and insists on hearing his confession. Dexter confesses to being a serial killer. However, midway through the confession, Galway forgets what they're talking about. Nonetheless, Dexter feels slightly relieved, having told someone about his demons. Next up, we have Deborah Morgan. She discovers his dark secret while investigating the Doomsday Killer, Travis Marshall. Deborah tracks him to an abandoned church. Upon entering, she is shocked to witness Dexter fatally stabbing Travis, culminating into one of the best moments of the show. While initially Dexter's quick wit convinces her that he's not a serial killer, she wouldn't let it go, and eventually searched his apartment and found out the truth, leaving Dexter no choice but to confess, changing their relationship forever. Hannah McKay first becomes aware of Dexter Morgan's true nature during a pivotal encounter in Season 7. Initially, Dexter targets Hannah, suspecting her involvement in several murders. He invites her on a date to a closed amusement park, where he sedates her and sets up his kill room, intending to end her life. However, when Hannah regains consciousness, she remains calm and unafraid, simply stating, "Do what you gotta do." This unexpected reaction leads Dexter to reconsider, and instead of killing her, he releases Hannah and they engage in a consensual sexual encounter. This moment marks the beginning of their complex relationship, as Hannah not only discovers Dexter's identity as a serial killer, but also accepts it, recognizing a kindred spirit in him. Next up, we have Isaac Serko, a high-ranking member of the Koshka Brotherhood, becomes aware of Dexter Morgan's identity as a killer while investigating the disappearance of Victor Baskov, his close associate and secret lover. Victor had murdered a Miami police officer, prompting Dexter to kill him in retaliation. Initially, Isaac and Dexter are adversaries, with Isaac relentlessly pursuing Dexter to avenge Victor's death. Their interactions are marked by tension and attempts on each other's lives. However, as the season progresses, circumstances force them into an uneasy alliance. Both men find themselves targeted by their respective enemies, leading them to collaborate for survival. During this time, they develop a mutual respect and understanding, recognizing similarities in their solitary lives and the burdens they carry. Isaac's pursuit of vengeance evolves into a more personal connection, and he ultimately acknowledges Dexter as a kindred spirit. In Season 7, Captain Maria LaGuerta begins to suspect Dexter Morgan's involvement in the Bay Harbor butcher cases after discovering a blood slide at a crime scene, a hallmark of the butcher's modus operandi. Remembering that Sergeant James Dokes was previously implicated as the butcher, LaGuerta reopens the investigation to clear Dokes' name. Her suspicions deepen as she uncovers inconsistencies and connections pointing toward Dexter. She orchestrates the release of Hector Estrada, the man responsible for Dexter's mother's death, intending to use him as bait to expose Dexter's vigilantism. This plan culminates in a confrontation where LaGuerta arrests Dexter, but he manages to turn the situation around, making it appear as though she is attempting to frame him. LaGuerta's relentless pursuit of the truth ultimately leads to a tragic confrontation, resulting in her death at the hands of Deborah Morgan, who seeks to protect Dexter's secret. Next, we have Dr. Evelyn Vogel, a neuropsychiatrist specializing in psychopaths, was aware of Dexter Morgan's homicidal tendencies from his childhood. She collaborated with Dexter's father, Harry Morgan, to develop the Code of Harry, a set of guidelines designed to channel Dexter's urges toward targeting other killers. Their relationship is both professional and personal. Dr. Vogel views herself as Dexter's spiritual mother, taking pride in his adherence to the code they established. She provides Dexter with insights into his behavior and assists him in understanding his psychological makeup. Their bond deepens as they work together to track down the brain surgeon, a serial killer targeting Dr. Vogel. Turns out it's her own son, who then ends up killing her, leaving Dexter saddened as he lost yet another person who understood him on a deep level. Next we have Zach Hamilton, a young man from a wealthy family, becomes aware of Dexter Morgan's identity as a serial killer during a pivotal encounter in Season 8. Initially, Dexter suspects Zach of murdering his father's mistress, Norma Rivera. To confirm his suspicions, Dexter abducts Zach and brings him to his kill room. There, Zach admits to the murder and reveals his own uncontrollable urge to kill. Recognizing similarities between himself and Zach, Dexter decides to spare his life and mentor him in adhering to the Code of Harry. Their relationship evolves into a mentor-protege dynamic, with Dexter teaching Zach how to channel his homicidal impulses toward those who have committed heinous acts. Dexter hopes to guide Zach in managing his dark urges responsibly, much like he does himself. Lastly, Oliver Saxon, also known as Daniel Vogel, becomes aware of Dexter Morgan's identity as a serial killer during the events of Season 8. Saxon, operating under the alias the Brain Surgeon, is a serial killer who removes parts of his victims' brains. Saxon learns about Dexter's true nature through his mother's involvement with Dexter and her discussions about Dexter's activities. This knowledge leads Saxon to view Dexter as both a rival and a threat. The relationship between Dexter and Saxon is adversarial and complex. Both are serial killers operating under different codes and motivations. Ultimately, Dexter captures Saxon but decides to hand him over to the authorities. However, when Saxon later poses a direct threat to Dexter's family, Dexter kills him, bringing their lethal rivalry to an end. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos about Dexter. I'll see you next time.